how did we not know anything about this? Like, I think it's so important to talk about these things, right, to any new parents, because it could happen, like, whether it's a febrile seizure or epilepsy, like, the seizures they're no joke. They'll scare the heck out of you, man. And just watch out for those signs, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I wish I would have known all this stuff before it happened. If it does happen, don't panic. It'll be okay. And you'll get through it.
Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will, or not only talking about, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it.
This season, we are going to continue to talk about living with epilepsy, like my son and millions of Americans who do. We're also going to be looking at other related conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, eliminate stigma, and raise awareness. Oh, and hopefully have a laugh or two along the way. Each of our episodes will feature amazing advocates and champions. We will learn together how to make a real difference in our own lives and in the lives of our communities.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
New season, new look, new sponsor. Thank you to Neurelis and everyone at Neurelis for sponsoring Talk About It. Talk About It is also sponsored by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you, Jazz, for always being there for us. All right, let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. Welcome to this very important episode of Talk About It. It's Epilepsy Awareness Month. We all need to be aware of everything seizure-related and epilepsy-related. It's the holidays, time for family to gather, little kids, big kids, adults, distant family, close family, whatever. We all need to know what to do in case someone has a seizure. Well, young parents of young children, babies, there is something so important that most pediatricians, most nurses in the hospital, when you have a baby, they don't tell you this. And it's so important. We have my very good friend Trevor on this episode. He is going to tell us a very personal story, something that happened to his daughter. And it's unbelievably important that everybody knows what to do and that there's a possibility that this could happen. You need to listen to this and you need to jot notes down or mental notes. This is a very, very personal and very important episode of Talk About It. So no matter how much I preach to talk about it, no matter how much I encourage friends that are going through things, it does take a special person to be willing. And I'm the same way. We're all going through something. We've all gone through something. If there's some way that I can help with my experiences, I'm going to share them. My buddy Trevor feels the same way. Welcome, Trevor. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me. I think, what you're doing is so important. Especially, for a guy like me who had no idea anything about this world.
Yeah, well, don't give this away. Don't give this away. I cannot believe, Nick, that we have not talked about this. Okay, so you're looking at Trevor is a new dad. Yeah. I mean, he's got a couple of kids now, but he's a new dad, and he and his wife are great parents, and their kids are absolutely adorable. One thing that they do not tell you is that there's a possibility of this happening. Take us through what happened to you, and so that people are educated and just aware that it can happen. And it's not epilepsy. I want to throw that out there. It's not epilepsy, but it's very closely related. Talk us through what happened.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you never learn about this stuff in the hospital when you first have your kid. No one really tells you about seizures until it hits you right in the forehead. And that's why I think it's so important what you're doing here. In my situation, I was on the phone with Greg, ironically, and a few other people about something we were working on.
Yep.
And my wife runs into the kitchen and she's in a panic. And she said, I don't know what's going on. I think my daughter's name's Phoenix. I think Phoenix hit her head.
And Phoenix is how old?
She's just about to turn 2, like a couple months before she turned 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and your son is?
He's 2 months old.
2 months old. Okay, so this is new parents, man.
Yeah.
They're in the thick of it. They're so hyper aware of everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she runs in the room.
we don't know anything. We're learning new things every day, right? We're scared of everything. Everything's like, oh my gosh, are they okay? So we're on the phone. She runs in the room in a panic. Phoenix is usually this kid that's, no to everything, so fiery, no. And she's always got her opinion. She's funny. She's loud. She's always talking.
She's not adorable, by the way, at all.
Yeah.
She's the cutest thing you've ever seen. Okay, go ahead.
We watch Shrek. We watch Shrek every day, and she calls herself Donkey because she talks so much, right? And so when she comes in, my wife, in a panic, she didn't know what was going on. She didn't really see what was happening because she was kind of around the corner, and she thought she might have hit her head because she was out of it, right? Then the panic kind of set in. We still didn't know what was going on. And then she started shaking and her eyes started rolling back. And I still have no idea what's going on. We're just frozen.
So what did you do? I mean, this is just important because, if you do see your child have a seizure, I know what to do, but you didn't know what to do. But did you?
No clue.
So did you lay her down? Did you,
Dude, at this point, I didn't even know it was a seizure. I'm still thinking she might have hit her head and her brain's damaged. I have no clue what's going on.
Right.
And I'm on the phone. I go, guys, I got to go. Something's wrong. My daughter's hurt. Hang up. And then the panic sets in. Call 911. They kind of explained to me she might be having a seizure. And then I'm running out. We're in the front, nightmare scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're in the front yard, got her on the grass, waiting for the ambulance to come. Her eyes are rolling back. We're praying. We're doing everything. It was just nightmare, right? And for someone who has no idea what a seizure is or anything, at this point, we still don't really know because the doctor or the 911 operator they were so great, talking us through it, talking to me how to do CPR.
Yeah. Watch
her tongue. It was just horrible.
But who did you talk to that really helped you?
So this is it. So then the ambulance finally takes her. I can't fit in it. So my wife and and my daughter get in the car and they go. And I text in the group chat with Greg and the guys. I said, "Hey guys, I'm so sorry I hung up. My daughter is having a seizure." And immediately Greg says, "Call me right now." And I had no idea what he was talking about because at the time I couldn't remember that his son had epilepsy or he's dealt with this his whole life. My head's going a million miles an hour, and he calls me right away.
Yeah, but what I meant by call me right now was we have a meeting to finish. I don't care if your daughter's having a seizure. We're in the middle of a meeting. Yeah. No, I literally was like, here's the thing. Yeah. I felt like, and I know your parents, and I know your family. Yeah. I felt like your dad. I was like, I wanted to help you so bad. So I'm so glad that you took my call and we talked. I really am.
It was in the moment. It was the best thing that ever happened to me and my wife because you took our anxieties from 1 million to back to 0. You're like, listen, I've dealt with seizures my whole life. You don't know if it's epilepsy. You don't know what's going on. Could be a febrile seizure. And I'm thinking, I don't even know what that is.
Yep.
You took us all the way back down to just relax. They got her, everything's going to be fine. I got to call my wife and be like, she's still in the ambulance. I go, listen, I just talked to Greg. His son has epilepsy. He's dealt with this his whole life. She's in great hands. She's going to be fine. And from leaving the house to the hospital, that ride over, it felt like 6 hours because
I know.
We don't know we still don't know. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to we don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So that call meant the world to us. Right.
I have to say, I don't mean to cut you off, but that is the moment that most people don't get that. When I get a call, and now you're going to get calls from people because it happens, right? When you get a call, the first thing I say, and it's true, and I don't know, but I always say, it's going to be okay. I don't know what level of okay that it's going to be. And the more information you gave me, the more I realized, oh, they're fine.
Yeah. And just you saying it's going to be okay meant the world to us because like you said, no one talks about, no one told us about any of this or how to prepare or this could even happen. And it ended up, you told me on the phone, you're like, listen, it could be a febrile seizure. And I'm like, what the heck is that?
Right.
You're like, you explained to me what it was. And then sure enough, by the time I'm running into the emergency room, the first responders, the firemen that were the best, the EMT guys are
incredible,
the best, right? they come out to me, they go, listen, she had 104 temperature, it's a febrile seizure. It's exactly what you said, right?
Yep.
So thank God, they figured it out and whatever.
And by the way, this is dropping on a time right before the holidays. This is Epilepsy Awareness Month. This is why we talk about it. But not only Epilepsy Awareness Month, there's flu, there's colds and flus and COVIDs and whatever. There's so much out there.
That's what they're saying. Like they said, any sort of flu or any sort of illness, it ended up being like a rhinovirus, one of these viruses out there. Any virus can get in these little kids. And if their temperature spikes too fast or drops too fast, they go into a seizure. And you don't learn that in high school. I only had a high school education.
No, me too. Me too. But
that.
that's not even it. It's you're at the hospital, dude. I talk about this all the time. Forgetting this episode, no one tells you that when you go home with the baby. I mean, you'll attribute this because you've gone through it now twice, close proximity to it. Now you're alone. I don't care. And by the way, you have to understand their family. They've got kids, his siblings. There's a ton of kids. But because no one's ever gone through this, you don't know. And you have no one to call. Thank God, never had anybody with seizures in your family or anything.
It was like the fact that we were on the phone as it happened, it's almost like a gift from God, right? It's divine intervention that this is like, everything's going to be okay. It was like, what are the chances of me being on a phone with a friend of mine that has dealt with this and is an advocate for this, as big as you are, to just be there in that moment right away?
I know.
It was special, man. And the fact that I'm on here and we're talking about this now is so other people could learn that when it does happen, they won't, a lot of people won't be on a phone call with their friend who's so knowledgeable about this stuff.
So without going into it, you're part of a very famous family, and the fact that you're coming on here and you're talking about this, it's just so helpful to so many people. And we have a big reach now, 370,000 people.
Yeah.
How important is it to share?
No, I think it's the most, our kids are the most important thing in the world, right? And like I said, the not knowing about what could happen in these seizures is the scariest thing. Like, I didn't even know it was a possibility, right? And I think it's so important to talk about these things, right, to any new parents, because it could happen, like, whether it's a febrile seizure or epilepsy, like, the seizures they're no joke. They'll scare the heck out of you, man. And I think it's so important to talk about it. And what's more important than our kids, right? And,
nothing.
Coming up on Talk About It.
Like, it's so scary because they said she's going to be okay, but it still took an hour and a half, 2 hours for her to come back. Like, her brain was fried, right?
Yes.
And everyone's assuring you that she's going to be fine. She's still there, like, blank stare. Finally, I get that big, no, daddy. And so I was like, oh, we're back.
It's Epilepsy Awareness Month. I just wanted to pop out and just encourage everyone to not only talk about it, but seek out the community, seek out the people around you. Once you open up the dialogue and you start finding your local chapter, even groups on Facebook or organizations to follow like Cure or the Epilepsy Foundation of America, certainly talk about it, talkaboutit.org. The caregiverseries.com is a great place to start also. You will not feel alone. This is the time when you need to be embraced. You need to feel like you're wrapped in the blanket of the family that is the epilepsy community. We're here, we are strong, and we care. So embrace this month and share with others around you what to do and what not to do should you, your loved one, have a seizure. Now's the month. Be proud and talk about it. Give us an update right now on beautiful Phoenix. She's
the best. You can probably hear her running around. She's back to her normal self. But that, even in the hospital, right? It's so scary because they said she's gonna be okay, but it still took an hour and a half, 2 hours for her to come back. Like, her brain was fried, right?
Yes.
And that's the scariest part. Even when they say it's okay, and everyone's assuring you that she's gonna be fine, she's still there, like, blank stare.
Yeah.
And then finally it like clicked, and she's like, I'm like, please say no, because she always says no. And I'm like, please, Felix, I'm begging you to say no, please.
Oh,
and
my little donkey. Just
trying to
say
bother
no.
her. I'm like, Donkey, it's Shrek, wake up, Donkey. And then finally I get that big no, Daddy. And so I was like, oh, we're back. But
I know.
scary.
It's the best. Look, when Jake, Jake had 2 brain surgeries, and I'll share my experience. One was, we elected to do it because they found the hot spot. They found where it was coming from, and it was not coming from an area that was productive, that was doing anything. So we opted for it. It was our choice. It was the worst decision. I mean, the hardest decision, the best decision, but the hardest decision we ever had to make, because they present at the hospital. So 30% of the doctors, 70% said, yes, this is going to work. 30% said, I would not. This is at Rush Medical Center in Chicago. And that's what happens. They present to all the surgeons. So
it's a nightmare.
And then they put it on you, Trev. They go, hey, what do you guys want to do? I mean, it was like, oh my gosh.
Dude, that's another thing people don't talk about with kids is all these decisions. It's
I know.
like, good luck. You know, it's scary.
And that's why you are your own best advocate at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know your child better than anybody else. Yeah. Also, you were giving a bath, so she was running a fever, and then you were going to put her into hot water. So it's like you didn't know she was running
we're in Florida in the summer, right? It feels like you live in a dishwasher. It feels like 150 degrees, and it's humid. So she's at the park. We didn't even know she had this virus. So she probably got a fever, and she's outside. Then we come home, give her a bath, and then it just spiked the temperature, and she just dropped.
Yeah.
So, the biggest thing I can say I'm coming on here is to people who are listening and people who have kids who haven't experienced this is just watch out for those signs, I guess, the fever or whatever. If they do go into seizure, don't panic.
Yeah.
Right. I wish I would have known all this stuff before it happened. But
by the way, Trevor, every kid's threshold, every human's threshold is different.
Yeah.
So her fever may have gone up to 104. Kids actually run warm. I was talking to, I had physical therapy this morning. He was saying that they had that experience, and he didn't even realize, you want to just cuddle and wrap up your baby, right? So you're wrapping a baby that's already, or young child, that's already warm. But kids in utero, they're used to high temperatures anyway. Mm-hmm. So they come out, they're freezing, they get shot, and now they're getting acclimated, but the warmth is what they want. It's hard, to know what threshold is gonna trigger a seizure. So like you're saying, just educating, and that's what we're doing here. To know, I was gonna say also, when Jake had a brain surgery, you say you were waiting for it to click. You're like, just give me that no, come back. Yeah. When Jake had brain surgery, they said he's not going to be able to respond. His response time, auditory response time, is going to be really slow. And you hear that, and like they assured you at the hospital, dude, as a parent, you're sitting there going, come on. And then I said, hey, Jake, how you doing? And he just sits there staring at me. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm calling the nurses, and they go, no. It's fine. And I guess it's the synapses are reestablishing those neural pathways or whatever after certain, like the brain doesn't want to be opened up. So I didn't mean to show my bald head, but the brain doesn't want that to happen. So, it's getting back. But it is the worst feeling. And I just wish that everybody sort of has the kind of friend that I have in you and that you have in me at those moments. It's just really scary.
Did they walk you through what the procedure was then? How did they get this to settle down or stop, whether it was the EMTs or the hospital?
Yeah, did they give Tylenol? Did they cool her down with ice? Like, what happened?
Well, it went from me being in the front lawn trying to do CPR on her with the people on 911 to putting her in the ambulance with my wife, and then they did everything in the ambulance. I don't know what they gave her. I'm sure they took her temperature, saw what was going on, and just stabilized her. But basically they gave her the whatever they would do to just treat the rhinovirus or the virus that she had. Right? The temperature down.
Right. So they didn't give her an that's the key to people that need to understand. Like when Jake goes, if Jake goes in, he hasn't, thank God, hasn't been forever, but he's on anti-convulsive, anti-seizure medication. That's not what they do for little kids because they don't have to. They're treating the virus. You control the virus, you control the fever, then the seizure is not going to happen, or it's going to go.
And then going home, we're just scared to death. We're like, a few hours later that night, they're like, okay, she's good, you could go home. And I'm like,
are you sure?
Sure. Again, like, what if this happens again? Like, do we call you back? They're like, it won't. But they sent us home with like every 2 hours Tylenol,
Advil. Switching off between the two.
Yeah, switching off. We did that for the next 2 days, 3 days. Basically, just get rid of the virus.
Yeah.
And get her back to healthy, and make sure her temperature doesn't spike again. So the next week we're just on the forehead with the thing.
I know. And the best call ever is, when I've checked it on you, we've talked every time, and I call and I go, hey, how's she doing? And then I love being able to go, you're never going to have to deal with this again.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best thing ever, because all I do is talk to people. Look, it's gotten to a point where, and it gets to the point where a lot of people that are listening to this right now, Trevor, and it's just the nature of it, where they don't call the paramedics because they're so used to it. They know that 90%, I don't know the right amount, but the right percentage, but 90% of seizures are fine. You let the seizure ride itself out, put them on their side, stay safe. Side, those are the things. Stay with the person, check their airway and everything, make sure that no fluids, make sure they're safe. If they're having a convulsive seizure, that their head doesn't scrape against the ground or whatever. And then put them on their side, and most of the time the seizure is going to ride itself out and they're going to be okay. That's epilepsy. That's different from the febrile seizures.
Well, that's kind of what they told us when we went home. But that was the scariest part for me. They're like, I asked, what do we do if this happens again? They're like, well, there's a good chance it will because she's already had one. But let her ride, like you said, let her ride it out. I'm like, I'm not riding anything. I'm calling 911.
Exactly.
That was the scariest thing ever.
Yeah.
But like you said, they taught us, they gave us the sheet on what to do.
Yep.
And it's like you said, put it on your side, make sure her head's cradled so it doesn't hit the floor.
Yeah.
And number one thing, if it's in a bath, obviously, get her out of the water.
Yeah.
And just let her ride it out.
Yeah.
But, it's scary. And my biggest thing for coming on here, like I said, is that, it's going to be, if it does happen, don't panic. It'll be okay. And you'll get through it.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think? Let's just brainstorm for a second. Like, what is the best way outside of something like this? I just received that's why I said stay safe side. There's this thing, it says, and what to do if someone has a seizure, but what do you do if someone has a febrile seizure, if they're an infant? Like, I wish that there was some sort of something that was up at elementary schools or, like.
What's the risk? What's the age range of risk of that? Like, is that something
that doesn't go, I mean, anybody can have.
Anyone can have a febrile seizure.
Yeah, I think the higher risk is like from like toddler age, maybe like 1 to 3 years old.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they're explaining.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But, as they get older, I'm sure they could kind of like, she's only almost 2 years old. She couldn't communicate like a older kid anyway.
Right.
So we wouldn't know what's going on, even whatever.
Yeah.
So
you just have to read the behavior. That's, I guess.
And my wife, mothers know best. My wife knows our daughter like a book, right?
Yeah.
So she could read her behavior and everything if something was wrong. Because at first I was like, she seems okay. And my wife is like, absolutely not. No, she's not. And then like 10 seconds later, like clicked to me. I'm like, oh my God, something's wrong.
Coming up on Talk About It.
And you're a Gretzky dude, and you're a great athlete. He's a pro baseball player. It's like, I mean, your dad, all he does, he's the greatest ever. And it's like, tell me your perspective on head trauma in sports. My
dad's a huge advocate on safety in sports. My dad's always been that way with hockey. It's no joke, man. And now that I have kids, it's something you actually got to think about.
Just wanted to take a second to share the definition or what comes up when you search what is a febrile seizure, okay? A simple febrile seizure is a generalized seizure, meaning the whole brain is affected. It's not localized. There's not one spot like a tumor or a scar or anything like that. It's a generalized seizure that occurs in children aged 6 months to 5 years during a fever lasting less than 15 minutes and happening only once in a 24-hour period.
It looks like you want to look out for stiffening, twitching,
Right.
loss of consciousness, and loss of bodily control.
Absolutely, but there are even subtler things. You're a parent, you know what to look for. Anything out of the ordinary.
You know, I'm sure I'm not a parent, but I'm sure that's the most scary thing, as you guys are talking about on this episode. But they are typically harmless. I know that doesn't speak for everything, but you know,
Exactly.
these are typically harmless, so don't freak out.
If your child is running a fever, if they have a cold, just watch out for simple signs and know that they're going to be okay. All right, let's get back to the interview. Better safe than sorry. Like what you guys, obviously you had no choice. She was having a seizure, but better safe than sorry. Now, let's just talk about for a second the other side of this, which is if it does trigger or if it's not a febrile seizure. Like that also happens. They're called infantile spasms, and little babies, babies have this, and that is a condition of epilepsy. So just know that I have to say, again, I'm going to use the 99% of the time, you're fine. The babies are fine. This is a result of a virus and the reaction that the brain happens. But if it isn't, and it's febrile seizures and there's epilepsy, the neurologist, the epileptologist, get to a specialist. Epileptologist, this is not what Trevor and his wife dealt with. This is beyond that. It's important also because the first 7 years is brain development. It's so important to not have a baby's brain seizing. So if you can get it under control, no matter what you're dealing with, that's what you want to do. And, you know, Phoenix's brain did not learn how to seize. That's another thing that happens when people, they just go too long. They don't get the treatment that they need. Now the brain goes, oh, this is what I do every time I'm sick. That's not going to happen. She had one experience. So again, she's in the majority, the vast majority. It's okay. But again, how can people not know about this? And
I know that,
people listening and be like, I knew about it. Most people didn't.
Yeah, dude, that's literally how I feel. It's how did we not know anything about this? Like this is normal? And they're like, yeah, it happens a lot. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've never heard of a kid in my life.
I've never seen this on TV. Like, I've never heard of this.
I know. And by the way, that's the other thing. Jeopardy. You're freaking out. Dude, Trevor and his wife must have been freaking out. And they're walking around like they're at McDonald's, these people, because this is their job. They're like, are you kidding me?
Even when the first responder came up to me at the hospital, when he's saying, oh, it's just a febrile seizure, you know, everything will be okay. And he's like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, LA hat. And I'm like, wait, oh, actually, it actually is going to be okay. He's changing the subject and I'm like, okay. Like, dude, these first responders, they don't get enough credit, man. How fast they got there.
I know.
Took her in, didn't ask questions, just boom, man.
Yeah, I know.
It was awesome.
Let me ask you now, just because I have you on and you're a Gretzky dude, and you're a great athlete. Athletes' families, because there's there are certain sports where football, right, where there can be head trauma, man. It's like I'm watching these sports and I'm like, God, they're trying to mitigate it. They're trying to adjust the helmets. And do you, after having gone through this, if your son, if he wants to play hockey, I mean, hockey's to me a lot more graceful, and but they're slamming up against the boards.
Every surface is hard.
That's true, but it's not as much. How do you feel about that? You played baseball and hockey, I know, but he's a pro baseball player. It's like, okay, and you know Sam. I mean, he follows Sam and Ben and everything. How do you feel now? Like, how did you feel before? You know, I mean, your dad, all he does, he's the greatest ever, and it's like he's encouraging all these young athletes and everything. I don't know. I'll stop talking. Tell me your perspective on head trauma in sports.
Having kids is a way different perspective now than when I was growing up playing. Like, I now see why my parents didn't want me to play football at first. Like, I had to sneak to the first football practice when I was in high school.
Yeah.
You know, just my dad's a huge advocate on safety in sports. My dad's always been that way with hockey.
Yeah.
You know, he never knew about football until I played. He's only really kind of seen it. And so as a young kid, I was just like, you don't think about it. I'm just like, I'm going to go do what I want. I'm going to play what I want. I'm not going to worry about the repercussions. And, you know, after having a concussion or two in high school, and it's no joke, man. And now that I have kids, it's something you actually got to think about. But I think youth sports is done such a great job from even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like if a kid wants to play football, there's a way to introduce him to the game. I would have my son play flag football until high school. And then if that's something that he truly wants to do, you know, you can't stop a kid from wanting to do what he wants to do. But there's a way you could teach your kids every possible aspect of what the repercussions are and what could happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have the parents that I have that have gone through that in their life because my dad was a pro athlete.
Yeah.
But
your wife's an athlete. I mean, it's
she's a stud.
She's a stud. So it's like, you know, how about Nick? Let me ask you, because you played football in high school and college?
No, not in college. I could have.
You could have.
I was right on the cusp of it being a thing in football. Like I graduated in 2008 from high school. And so it wasn't yet concussions, you know, the movie hadn't come out. It wasn't really known in the NFL. But there was a game and I got hit so hard. I got up and the field was completely crooked.
Oh my God.
And so I'm trying to get off the field, just falling over. And it happened in front of the other student section too, which made it worse. Because I just came to and there's just a roar of excitement that I got. I mean, and I went in 3 plays later. I mean, that was just one of my coaches ended up on CNN 2 years later for playing kids with concussions at a different school. So like that was the culture I was in.
But now, I mean, Jake and Ben and Sam are like your brothers.
Yeah.
Now that you know Jake and you're part of, you produce this podcast.
Yeah.
Like your guys are going to have kids soon.
Absolutely.
So.
And this is a great episode for my wife and I because I have never heard of febrile seizure. I'm just like you. I'm learning this is a thing.
By the way, Trevor, his wife is one of the greatest stunt women out there right
also
now.
Also an athlete.
She's an athlete and stunt woman. I mean, like high risk. You know?
That's crazy.
But I'm saying, like, do you have the same perspective? I mean, look at Trevor. It's like, you know, not that I think you would have had this perspective whether you had this experience with Phoenix or not. I mean, it's like you're a dad. It's you know, you want to be careful, and now it's hyper vigilant. People are just so.
I mean, like I said, I think education is the biggest thing you could do for kids, right? In sports. Yeah. You know, I was lucky to be at a school, Christian in Thousand Oaks. It was kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah, I mean, not as good as Calabasas, but go ahead.
We didn't do hitting in practice like other schools. We didn't do any of that. It was all about teaching the game, right? Learning the game, the fundamentals. You know, the aggressiveness and stuff. It's going to come if you're that guy. If you want to be that guy, if you want to play. Yeah. But there's a way to educate and teach kids the game and play the game properly. Yeah. You know, especially in hockey with like the fighting culture and everything. I think it's ridiculous. But like the greatest players, they don't grow up wanting to fight. They don't get into the game for that. They get into the game for the finesse and the love of the game.
That's a really good point.
To teach these kids to truly love the game.
Yeah. But a movie like Slapshot. One of my favorite movies ever.
Or Goon.
Yeah. There's room for the goons. Yeah, I just talked to Stan Bowman, man. I mean, these guys, like, I know you know everybody in hockey, but it's like, it's just incredible, the perspective that everybody has. But, dude, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about it. It's just going to be so helpful to so many people. And if you're listening to this right now and you want an education on febrile seizures or whatever, you know, go to talkaboutit.org. You're probably already here if you're watching this podcast, but go to the Epilepsy Foundation of America. Go to the Cure website. There are so many resources out there where you can just learn about it. Because I'll tell you, did you guys go down the Google rabbit hole of like, you know, looking up stuff, or it happened so fast?
Everything everything, dude, is Google. Like anything that's ever happened is we go to the internet, right? Right. And it just happened so fast we couldn't be on our phone to see what's going on. I'm calling 911 right away, right? But after the fact, you know, when we're home and she's okay and we're just watching her, then I start looking up everything and seeing what you sent me and realizing, okay, this is normal and nobody told me, right? Like what, you know, this is something that every person that takes a newborn baby home should just know. It should just be like, hey, this could happen. Watch out, you know? Yeah, no, and hopefully this will educate and put minds at ease. That's the most important thing. Yeah. Because if it does happen, you know that, you know, obviously call 911, but that everything's going to be okay.
And thanks for doing that and letting everybody know, dude. You're the best. I will, I'm sure, talk to you soon. We have a bunch of things
to finish
we're
that
working
meeting.
on. Yeah, we have to finish that meeting. I mean, my God, come on. Give everybody my love, okay?
I will.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
It's
dude.
great to see you.
See you soon.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talk About It with Greg Grunberg. Sponsored by Neurelis and by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you to our special guests for joining us, and thank you J.J. Abrams for the theme music that you're hearing right now. Talk About It is produced by Ken Lowenberg, Greg Grunberg, and Nick Marzok. Editing, directing, and incidental music by Nick Marzok. Go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes, and as always, don't forget to talk about it. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company and Motel Podcasts.